joining today. I'm Ebony McMorris, White House Correspondent for American Urban Radio Network. The president has reached his one-year milestone, but it's not just his milestone, it's also for the heads of the agencies. And so we want to, here at AURN, tap into see the progress and advancement that has been going on inside the administration. And joining us today is Secretary of the Interior, Deb Haaland, who is going to talk about environmental justice and what the agency is doing and plans they have going ahead. Welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ebony. Happy to be here.
So it's been 1 year. And it seems like it's been more than one, but it's been a long year. But I want to talk about some of the accomplishments that you have experienced thus far, first within the Interior.
Yes, of course. Well, I always love talking about our accomplishments, and we've gotten a tremendous amount of work done in the first year. One of those is a terrific start toward President Biden's goal of 30 gigawatts of clean energy by 2030. That will affect communities across the country, right? We are working to transition to a clean energy economy. We know that Black and brown communities have borne the brunt of polluted air and polluted land for centuries, and we're happy that we're able to move that forward. President Biden and Vice President Harris care deeply about this issue, and that's also one of the reasons why we're moving forward at a very fast pace to correct and to remediate orphan gas and oil wells across the country, predominantly in those Black and brown communities, so that kids have a healthy environment to learn in.
And I think that's so important because when we talk about the inequities in Black and brown communities, and we talk about kids going to school, you can't talk about education without talking about environmental justice, because it's also connected to issues of health that we have in our communities. We saw things that happened in Flint, Michigan. The DC area has experienced issues too, and so it's good to see the what you guys have laid out and where you are right now. There is one thing I also want to talk about. I want to jump in here and talk about the announcement that you all made that you are going to, and I know you're excited about this, review and replace derogatory names on public lands and waters. Why was that so important for you coming in?
Well, first of all, as Secretary of the Interior, I want every single American, every single child of the world who visits our national parks or public lands to feel welcome. When there are names that make people feel bad, that well up this generational trauma inside them, that isn't right. And so part of this is, taking those derogatory names off, replacing them with names that of course make sense, but celebrate the land the way it should be celebrated.
Can you give us an example of any of them that are going to be changing?
We are working right now on getting a commission together to study that issue, and we're not quite there yet, but super excited that we will be getting there soon. So the next time we check in together, we might have some news to share.
Okay, wonderful. Now, I know the department is also getting money out the door for the bipartisan infrastructure law for states to clean up pollution, which we said earlier disproportionately affects Black and brown communities. Can you talk more about what you're doing in that aspect, and where are we right now?
Yes, of course. Well, the Interior Department, of course, is very proud to implement that bipartisan infrastructure law. And we know that law will help make critical investments in historically marginalized communities. It's going to invest billions of dollars in helping those communities to address orphaned oil and gas wells. I went to Los Angeles, had a chance to speak with some young activists there who have to put tissue up their nose to stop their nosebleeds while they were in class, learning algebra or literature. It's shameful that these communities have had to deal with that. We want to make sure that children have the opportunity to live in a clean environment. It will also put people to work, right? It's also going to create thousands and thousands of jobs. And so we're excited about that as well. President Biden has done an amazing job creating jobs for communities, since this terrible pandemic. We're going to keep moving along that in that direction, and the bipartisan infrastructure law will do just that.
I'm glad that you're addressing these issues, and you brought up the fact of employing equity as far as creating jobs, because it's not just enough that we are able to go in and help communities, but part of that is also job creation. And that's where equity plays a huge part in that. Are there any other things going into 2020, 2022? I'm still having a hard time, Secretary. I'm not lying. Sometimes I still want to say 2021. I'm not there yet. COVID is still on the rise and surging, but outward looking, where do you want to be at the end of 2022?
Right. Well, we're always going to move forward with the clean energy economy, as I mentioned. We have kicked off a number of areas where we're able to, plant offshore wind, and we're going to keep moving forward with that. 30 gigawatts of power by 2030 will power millions of homes. It will create tens of thousands of jobs and union jobs, well-paying union jobs with benefits. And so we want to keep moving in that direction. It's a very exciting opportunity for us all, and so I'm really looking forward to that. Climate change is real. Communities of color suffer more so than many other communities. And so a lot of this infrastructure funding will go to help communities be more resilient in the face of climate change as well.
Are there any specific areas that you are more or less concentrating on to a greater capacity?
What we're doing is making sure that those communities can come to the table and talk to us. We want to make sure that we are consulting with folks across the country to make sure that the funding is going in the right areas. And so we're excited to have the opportunities to have those conversations.
Well, I'm glad you're talking about this. Racism has played a huge part, as we know, over the decades when you talk about climate change and environmental justice. And it's a serious issue that we have not always talked about, but that you are drilling down on. Secretary Haaland, thank you so much. Any parting words that you have for the AURN audience?
I'm super excited about 2022. We're going to get a lot of work done. Our public lands belong to every single American. Let's make sure that we're using them, that we're using them responsibly, that we're getting into the outdoors and appreciating all that nature has to offer.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Secretary Haaland. And you are welcome on this network anytime.
Thank you.